Hi, thanks for joining. This is Art Fuel, and I'm going to have a brief video about how to document your Gitops projects very easily. I know there's a really difficult challenge that we always have between having everything well documented and then moving quickly. This is a real simple way using semantic release and GitHub projects to allow you to move really fast and at the same time keep everything well documented. I'm not going to talk about too much about this specific project. This is a chatbot. One thing I will mention, you have an accelerator, and so this is a template that would be meant for other people to download and then start working on it. And I mentioned that because that kind of relates to how we're doing the versioning here, because we're going to be doing the versioning for the accelerator itself. And I've also tuned the accelerator in a way to where once people create their own implementation of this, it'll also kind of reset the versioning for their own project once they've started it. And you can see here there's several different commits, and I have the commit the link to each commit. Normally, I will also tie this to issue tickets, and then you'll be able to see the issue tickets in here for further documentation, and then be able to just move quickly, make your commits, leave decent commit messages, and have a nice change log. And in addition to the change log, you also get a release. And so this will automatically package a release. And so you can see I can have a ability to download my code at that moment in time. And I think perhaps even more practically, it will also create a tag. Here, just like I can go to different branches, I can also look at a different tag. And now everything I'm seeing here, because you can see I'm navigated the view for this tag, so this will all reflect how things are at this point in time. And for every different version, I can come back in here and I can just kind of go back in time to see exactly where I was at a time if I want to revisit that. Let's look at GitHub projects. So I just started this, and I know there's several small changes that I need to make to this before it's ready to go. And so I went through the code and I kind of started documenting those. Want to make it real easy to do that. And so here we have GitHub projects. There's a lot of different views that you can have with GitHub projects, but I really have come to like this very simple view where I can just easily jot down notes. And these can be easily converted into issues, but they are not issues initially, which is kind of like a staging area for issues, which is really nice because when you're going through and quickly taking down notes about things that you want to do, you may find that between the time that you initially take down a note and want to formally start working on it, that you may want to change some things about how you're doing it. And so I've went through, I've looked through a couple things here, and I've actually already prepared my code base for this first note that I've made here, my first project task. And so I can see here, I had this originally, a lot of the project name as chatbot1, and I wanted to change this project name for the accelerator to my chatbot1. And so I needed to go through my code to replace all these instances. And I've already done that. And I've created a little note here. Now, you don't need to create an issue ticket or to create a project for all these things, right? If it's something, it's a good practice, but if there's a lot of simple things you're working through, you can use good commit messages to handle that documentation. But it's nice to have an issue ticket associated with it as well, so you can have a practice to have a spot to where you can add additional notes about what you're working on, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just click this convert to issue here, and we'll click the chatbot1 accelerator. And now this is an issue. We can see it's issue number 3. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my VS Code over here. And here I have my little chatbot1 directory. As I mentioned, I've already gone through here and changed my source code to say my chatbot1 whenever I needed it to. So we'll just add this and git commit. And then I'll just say, all right, chatbot1 to resolve. And I'll say number 3. And when I do this, it's going to automatically close that issue ticket for me as well, and link it to the commit and then document it and all that cool stuff right off the bat. Very nice. And so we'll push this up. Oh, sorry, I forgot one important thing. When you make your commit messages using the semantic release, you need to use a conventional commit syntax. It's very simple, right? Which just means you would prepend your commit message with something either a fix or feat, meaning a feature release. If it's a fix release, you just type in the word fix. Oops. Fix colon, and that's what will trigger the release to happen. So it's been, you can go and look about conventional commits to see if you if you want to trigger a bug patch, or if you have a breaking change or things like that. It also means you can make multiple commit messages without each one triggering a release. And if you do say 3, 4, 5 commit messages in a row, like we can see this the change log right here that I have 5 different commits associated with this first release, as I didn't need to trigger release with each commit. And there may be times where you don't want to. So you can use a strategy to go ahead and this will also only work when I have it tuned, configured to only trigger when I'm merging into my main branch. And so I can also do a similar thing by using a branching strategy, but on small, simple projects, maybe when like this one where I was working on my own, for this easy way to bundle multiple commits into a single release without much effort. Now, so I'm going to amend that commit to have this fix, and that will trigger the release when I push this again. So we'll get push, and now I'm going to force this one. Okay, so now if I come back into my accelerator here and I go to actions, you can see that that's running again. Now, while that's running, it happens pretty quick, but I just want to show real quick there's 2 files that you need to get semantic release working like this for you. First is if you look at the in my GitHub workflow here, you can see this is a standard sort of out of the box GitHub workflow for this semantic release or using this particular action, CYC Jimmy semantic release action version 3. So you can go into GitHub Marketplace for actions and find a lot of information, additional documentation for configuration that you want to do here. And I also have this release RC JSON file. You don't have to have the changelog, it'll create that automatically. But you do need a release RC.json file here with a configuration. And you can use pretty much this exact configuration. You're going to want to make sure you change that repository URL value to the URL that you're working on. And this configuration is set up to do exactly what I've shown here. It's linked to Git commits and not particular code revisions. In particular, every time you do commit with that conventional message, it will trigger a release. And this will update the change log, and it will create a package a git release as well. And so now we can go back and see that action has completed running. And we'll go ahead and look at my updated change log. And we can see here now, I'm already on release V101, so that took effect. And if I go into my change log, you can see that I said updating references to resolve number 3. And I see that my issue ticket was immediately closed, but I can see here that this links me directly to my issue ticket, where I can have any amount of very flexible, easy to add documents, notes, etc. I can come in after the fact and add additional notes here. A very flexible way to make sure that you've got some actual documentation. But beyond the notes that you put, it also has the explicit commit there links, so I can go through and look at exactly what was changed very easily and keep this tracked for each of the releases that I have.